Hi, I'm Epokk from Minigame Guides. In this video, I want to show you how to get the crafting materials in Loop Hero. Now, at the start, I found it kind of frustrating because I didn't really know how to get each of the crafting materials to build the specific buildings that I needed to unlock the next step in the roguelike experience. But for that reason, I'm going to make this video. But guys, this is going to be a little bit spoilery, so please, just turn away, just close this video if you don't want to get anything spoiled. I won't spoil the bosses or the storyline, but just quickly want to mention it. Okay, so when you start building, at a certain point you're gonna unlock the Intel Center and the library. And the moment that you do that, you actually get access to Encyclopedia. The Intel Center will give it to you, and the library will unlock it a little bit more. Now, over here we have all different kind of information on the tiles, the monsters, the materials, and the artifacts. Now, I'm not going to show you all the other ones. Now, I'm going to show you maybe one. For example, we have here the slime. Now, that's going to be the most common monster that you already know. And as you can see, when you click on each of these monsters, here you can see the resources that you can get. If you're going to kill a slime, you will get either a craft fragment or a shapeless mass. But anyway, on this third page here, you can find all the different kinds of ways to get specific kinds of material. So if you are after stable wood, preserved rock, metal, food supply, and stuff like that, you can just, really place a lot of these cards in your deck just by simply going to the expedition screen and clicking on this button over here. And here you can add whichever card you want. Now, if you are specifically after, for example, wood, then you will want to place a lot of the forest and grove cards and the treasury card that you can complete by placing 8 adjacent tiles to it and drop some certain enemies. Now, these are going to be mainly the enemies that you can find that are basically wooden. For example, I'm going to show this one. The chest, for example, these are the stable branches. So it actually really makes sense. It's a wooden chest, so you're going to get some wood pieces from it. Now, stable wood, you may not loot it like this. You will get the branches. If you combine specific number of branches, I believe 12 branches, then you will get a stable wood. So now, for example, the preserved rock, we're going to get that from rocks and mountain cards. The treasury card, once again, because it gives kind of random loot, and it will drop from certain enemies. But once again, if you want to farm these things, just place a lot of these cards in your deck. Stable metal, you can get all equipment forgotten in the inventory becomes scrap metal. So those are the ones that you're going to finish the game with. So the moment that you kill the boss, doesn't matter which one, it's going to become all the inventory that is still in, all the equipment that is still in your inventory will become scrap metal. And once again, the treasury card. So food supply you're going to get from fighting on the battlefields. Now these are the ones that will spawn chests and mimics and stuff like that. Also from the treasury card once again. The orb of expansion from fights with more than 4 enemies. The higher the number, the higher the chances. So these are going to be fights, for example, like the one that I showed in my previous video, which is going to be the beginner guide, that you can get. For example, you can get the ransacked village. So you're going to place a village with a vampire mansion next to it. That will turn it into a ransacked village that is going to spawn 4 ghouls with a vampire. So that's once again 5 enemies. The orb orb of immortality is basically one that you can only get for defeating these different chapter bosses. So that's completing the entire loop, and then the moment that you kill one of these, you're gonna get those specific parts. The Book of Memories, these are basically just to unlock more of the encyclopedia, but it drops once again from some enemies, but these are not that important. You will get these by mainly playing the game. Metamorphosis is from transforming tiles. So once again, like I just mentioned, for turning a village into a ransacked village by placing a vampire mansion right next to it, that is basically transforming tiles. Now I'm gonna make a complete video on how to transform, how to get all the transforming tiles, how to do each of them. So just be sure to stay tuned for that. Be sure to subscribe, notification, all that stuff, and you will get alert the moment that I post that video. Okay, so the astral orb is very specific. Now the astral orb, I have been kind of farming these. Now you can get these from the mage type enemies and the cosmic type enemies. Now I have been farming the cosmic type enemies, and that means I have been killing dark slimes. And dark slimes are something a monster that you won't get really quickly. How you get them is, for example, when you have a goblin camp, it's gonna spawn a goblin. While that goblin is still on his original tile, so kind of off the loop, he's gonna start moving towards the path. While he's on that original tile, so the goblin camp in this case, you're gonna want to destroy it with the Oblivion card. Once it's destroyed, the monster will disappear. But once you pass the specific part of the loop where that monster was at that time, you're gonna fight a dark slime, and the dark slime is a cosmic type, so you have the chance to get an astral orb. The orbs of crafts are the defeating of artificial types of enemies and the object type enemies. For example, the object are the mimics, so the chests that you can get from the battlefields. Those are, for example, object types. We have the Orb of Evolution, which are going to be the plant type enemies, and the living type enemies. So living type enemies are basically most enemies except for the undead ones. So now not the vampires and skeletons and stuff like that. And the plant ones, that's once again the enemies that you will find in the groves, for example. And of course we have the Orb of Unity, which are the ones that you're going to find quite a lot. So the liquids are the slimes that you will find at the start of each game, and the swarms, for example, are the bats that the vampires will summon. And that is basically all the different kind of materials that you can get. If you want to farm any of these, I would place these specific cards in your deck, and I would just farm the very first expedition. So it is going to be expedition with the very first boss. I'm not going to mention anything about him, but of course he's going to be the most simple one. And you're just going to do this loop a few times and you will have all the resources in no time. That's pretty much how I did it. It just takes a little bit of time, but it's also a great way to learning the games in and outs. And it's just something I really highly advise. But guys, that was it. I want to thank you for watching, and be sure to stay tuned for that video that I already mentioned about all the different combinations that you can make with the tiles in Loop Hero. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.